There we go. And welcome to Dad's Watching Sports. It is episode 26. Michael Draper, Kyle Castles, Matt Kirk, as always. Guys, thank you so much for joining us. And for the first time ever, we are broadcasting live simulcast via StreamYard on the RTF Sports Network page and the Dad's Watching Sports Facebook page. So if you're out there and you're watching us, let's say we do have one person checking us out, shoot us a message on here. Give us a comment. We'd love to hear from you throughout the show as we're going to be talking about some of the newest stuff going on in the worlds of sports. Again, as I mentioned before, I am Michael Draper, joined always by Kyle Castles and Matt Kirk, and we thank you for joining us here. So I know a lot of people have been kind of a little bit of confusion about the times that you can check out Dad's Watching Sports, and so I wanted to kind of kick that right off the bat. If you saw our social media post over the weekend, that had that information as well. But so right now, we are on Sunday. It's 9:30 Eastern, 8:30 Central. You can check us out on our Facebook pages as we're broadcasting live over that through StreamYard. And again, we'll do that hopefully every week on Sunday, so you can check us out there. But our show will be on the RPF Sports Network. If you go to rtsportsnetwork.com on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 11 a.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Central. And then, of course, if you're listening to this show as a podcast, you know you can download this show anytime, anywhere. All you do is search Dad's Watching Sports wherever you listen to podcasts. And then, guys, we have got some exciting news where we've got a new show that's coming out. That is coming up on the 5th of August, and that is our Dad Debate. Kyle, I'm really excited about the Dad Debate. It'll be Wednesdays at 8:30 Central, 9:30 Eastern. We'll have two dads, three topics, one debate, one winner. Kyle, are you excited about the Dad Debate?
Oh, man, I've never lost a debate. At least in my mind, I've never lost a debate.
Yeah.
Except to my wife. She wins most of those.
Yeah, that she does. There's no doubt about that. So, guys, before we get started, last week we had a pretty interesting show. Kyle, you don't have to get into details, man. Just want to, how are you feeling?
Come on, man. I've been better. I'll just leave it at that.
If you don't know what we're talking about, I won't spoil it. Go check out the first episode or the last week's episode of Dad's Watching Sports, and you'll know kind of where Kyle's going with that. Well, we're you hang in there, Kyle. You
appreciate
hang in there.
that.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, guys. So let's be honest. I know this is Dad's Watching Sports, and we try to incorporate dad topics kind of throughout. There's not going to be a lot of that in this show. We've had a lot of shows over the past couple of months where there's been really heavy on dad stuff because there hadn't been any sports to talk about. Well, guess what? Now we have sports to talk about, which is very exciting. We've got golf is back, NASCAR is back, soccer is back, baseball is back, basketball is back, hockey is back, and we are moving towards football as well. So, guys, just kind of right off the bat, the NHL and the NBA came back over the weekend or the long weekend. Matt, what's your initial thoughts on NHL and the NBA coming back?
I'm excited. I have been hoping for a Preds playoff run. I'm sure hoping that they can give us one. I'm hoping that they get to play. It's kind of looking like baseball, that they could be on their way out. I think the NBA for sure got this right by doing the bubble. I think they just knocked it out of the park. I hope that the other sports will start to try to follow suit on that too.
Yeah, NBA and NHL both. Yeah, really, you have to tip your hat to them for what they've been able to do. And I think we're getting these reports that the teams continue to test, and they're not as many, if any, positive tests coming back, which is really exciting. And I think, man, just to be able to sit down over the past 3 days, Kyle, and have hockey on, basketball on, then flip over to ESPN and there's a baseball game on. You can flip over to NBC Sports and there's EPL or any kind of soccer going on. The MLS is down to their semifinals. It's just an exciting time to be a sports fan because now we finally have something to watch and something to talk about on this podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess kudos or shout out or whatever need to go to Gary Bateman and Adam Silver. I think they've done a great job kind of putting all this together. Baseball is what it is, and I'm hoping that we can get through a 60-game season and a playoff, but I don't know.
Yeah. So, guys, have you had a chance to watch any of the basketball? Kyle, have you had a chance to watch any NBA action?
Yeah, I watched what was that, Thursday night, the Lakers Clippers game.
Yeah.
I watched it. To me, it looked a lot like early season basketball with turnovers and stupid fouls, that kind of stuff. Which I guess you have to assume that's what we were going to get.
Yeah.
But it was just nice having sports on.
Yeah, it is. It's definitely hard to get used to the arena. It kind of reminds me, if anybody's a college basketball fan, you see some of these tournaments during the holiday season where they're set up in like ballrooms and stuff throughout different places around the country. That's kind of what it reminded me of, because it looks like a really small arena type place. And then, they've got the big screens around, which is a little distracting. I don't know how the players are able to handle that. But the NHL is a little bit different, where they've got kind of the blocked off seats down below, but it's definitely, it's taking a little bit getting used to, Matt, trying to figure out, the piped in crowd noise and everything. Any initial takes from the NBA coming back?
I'm excited about the NBA. I watched the Mavericks take on the Rockets last night, or on Friday night, I guess.
That was a great game.
Unfortunately, my Mavs choked away a 13-point lead down the stretch. They couldn't hold them off. But Porzingis played out of his mind all game. I thought he played great.
Yeah, he had 39 points, I believe it was. Unfortunately, James Harden, I believe, had 48. So
yeah, he had a few more than that.
Yeah, but that was definitely a great game for sure. We're going to talk a little bit more NBA throughout the show. If you checked us out last week on the show, we did our baseball teams, where we all picked a team, kind of like a lottery or a draft, if you will. We picked a team that we're going to basically be represented by, and then there's a punishment going along with the teams that finish last, the three of us. So we're going to do that for the NBA as well. Also, we're going to talk a little NBA MVP, who we think should get that later on the show as well. But guys, as you kind of look forward with the hockey playoffs and then the rest of the NBA season going forward, Kyle, what's one thing that you're really looking forward to?
Honestly, I'm a huge Preds fan, so I'm looking forward to sitting down and watching the Preds play. Hopefully, we don't spot the Coyotes any more 4-point leads like we did today. I spotted them 4 goals and then came back and lost 4-3. So we're there, but hopefully that's not where we stay. Hopefully we come back and we go ahead and finish out the Coyotes and make a deep run in the playoffs. Looking forward to that. I'm enjoying some NBA basketball. But I mean, playoff basketball, playoff hockey. I know that I'm a football guy, but to me, playoff basketball, playoff hockey are the best. Playoff baseball is the best sports to watch, man, because it gets really fun.
You guys know I'm a big basketball fan. If you look at our background right now, I got TD Garden from Boston. That I'm just excited that the NBA is back. I think that they are really kind of the perfect sport to really kind of push us forward going into what is going to be a really fun rest of the season. And I think it's really cool for them because they're able to pick back up. They're not starting a whole new season. They're picking back up where they left off earlier on. So it's definitely going to be it's going to be a fun one to take a look at. So Matt, we've got a few minutes here. So let's go ahead and get into, I know you wanted to get into our NBA team draft lottery. So last week we chose our teams and then chose the punishment. And you and I were talking offline and decided, maybe we should choose our punishment first. So that way there's not a little bias in, that gets in there with the person who ends up getting the last pick.
There is no one that can, be a wuss and say, "Oh, well, I know I'm going to lose, so I don't want to do it."
Hey! Our Padres are stepping up, so
yeah.
I feel better.
For those of you that missed last week's show that haven't checked it out yet, so we did this with Major League Baseball. I drove first and got the Dodgers, which I was very happy about. Then Matt got the Nationals, and Kyle got the Padres. But the Padres, Kyle, making a little noise out there in the West.
Hey, a little bit. As long as they can stay above the Nationals, I'm good.
Yes, you are. You are. And if just to remind all of our listeners out there, so the punishment that we ended up choosing for Kyle is, or I'm sorry, for whoever loses, is the loser has to donate $100 to the team who comes in first. That representative's charity of choice. So we like to do good things around here at Dad's Watching Sports. Like to spread the love, and we'll do so with that. I'm sure Kyle will give a nice donation to wherever we choose to go to. So Matt, I'm going to turn it over to you for our NBA draft lottery, and I'll let you kind of take it away from here.
Okay, so for challenges this week, I kept a few, and I brought a few new ones in because Kyle was a wuss and didn't want to do the cinnamon challenge. We're going to go with the saltine challenge.
Okay, so I need you to explain the saltine challenge.
Yeah.
Okay, so the saltine challenge is where you have to eat one saltine cracker without any water, and you have to do it in less than a minute.
Less than a minute?
Yeah.
Done.
Okay. Yeah.
Done?
Okay.
Done.
Okay, well, we'll see about that.
I was thinking it was like a sleeve of saltine
It could be a sleeve. Hold on, let me look at this.
I think we should go with at least. I think we should at least go with maybe 10 saltines.
10 saltines in a minute with no water, that would be difficult.
Yeah, that would be a little bit more difficult than one. I was thinking, man, I could do that right now.
I don't know about that. You
yeah.
think you can, but then it happens, and you get beat, and you look like a goober.
Matt,
Okay.
I'm fat enough that I can swallow a saltine whole.
Okay, so the saltine cracker
Christmas.
challenge is a food challenge or a competition in which a person has 60 seconds to eat 6 saltine crackers without drinking anything.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. Okay. Well, all right. So we got the saltine challenge. What are our other ones?
And then we've got log on to the Dad's Watching Sports Facebook, and you have to talk about how great that the winner is, and you have to talk about how great their team was and how horrible you are. And then I kept this one. And I kept this one. You have to shave your legs on the show.
That is not happening. Like, I refuse.
Michael.
Like, okay, like you guys can see my arm here. So just imagine that on my leg. And that's just not happening. And when I want to say 12 years old, I had knee surgery and I had to shave my leg. And do you remember what it looked like? I mean, and this is me at 12. So imagine 36. Yeah, I mean, it looked like I had a black sock on my leg because I still had half of my calf was full and hairy.
It was, I mean, so for those of you that don't know, when Mike takes his shirt off, he has a wool sweater underneath.
It's true. Hey, and Matt, you're my brother in that regard.
I shaved your name and your last name and 30 in my chest and back hair whenever you turned 30.
You did. I appreciated that. I got an awesome video. We moved to Washington and got an awesome video from all y'all for my 30th birthday. And yeah, I do remember that.
It was a good
all right,
time.
so shaving legs, saltine challenge.
Yes.
And what else we got?
Okay, so next, your wife and your kids get to pick your fingernail color. They are going to paint your fingernails on the show.
Okay, I can live with that.
Well, they don't have to do it on the show because everyone's kids are probably in bed by now.
We can do a video, like a recorded video.
Yes.
We'll do a TikTok.
Yes, and then next would be your wife and your kids get to pick your outfit for the show.
Okay.
And then we've got have to sing a song of the winner's choice on the show live.
Oh man, well I've heard Kyle sing before.
It's like a bird.
I mean, if we've been looking for ratings, that'll draw the people in. Okay, so let's recap really quickly. So we've got singing, we've got your children picking your attire for a show, you've got your wife and children painting your nails of a color that they so choose. We've got saltine challenge and shaving legs. Okay, we've got about a minute before our break here.
And for our live listeners, if you want to comment in, we'll also take your input too, and we'll see what you think we should have to do if we lose.
Absolutely. Y'all tell us what to do.
Absolutely. Okay. So what do you guys think? What's our clubhouse leader? Kyle, I'll toss it to you first. We got 30 seconds for a break here, but we'll go ahead and get it rolling.
Let's paint our fingernails.
Okay, painting fingernails it is by our wife and children. Is that correct? What we decided to
and
do?
or because I have a 1-year-old,
okay.
I'm not sure how well she's going to be able to pick it.
Well, I'm sure
If I win, if I lose.
I'm sure she can figure it out, man. I'm sure she can figure it out. So,
yeah, you're
all
right.
right, guys. So we've got our punishment. The losing team has to pick their wife and children are going to pick a fingernail color for them to display on their nails. So we'll talk about this after the break, but we'll get into that. And we'll also pick our teams coming up after the break as well. So you are listening to Dads Watching Sports, and we will be back here in just 1 second. The Dads of Dads Watching Sports are coming to you with a new weekly show on Wednesday nights. That's right. Check out our new half-hour show, The Dad Debate, on Wednesdays at 9:30 p.m. Eastern, 8:30 p.m. Central on the RTF Sports Network Facebook page. And it'll be available immediately for download following our show on the Dads Watching Sports podcast feed. 3 debate topics, 2 dads, 1 winner. It's going to be you. So did you guys hear that at the very end of that commercial there?
Was that President Trump actually jumping in on our?
I was. I gave him a quick call and said, "Hey, 45. I need a huge." And he said, "Michael, I'd be more than happy to do that. It'll be the best huge you've ever had or heard in your life." So we definitely appreciate 45 for doing that. Dad's Watching Sports. Thanks for joining us, Michael Draper, Kyle Castles, and Matt Kirk. Guys, so before the break, we talked about our NBA draft team lottery, and we picked our punishment. So our punishment is going to be fingernail painting. So, and I guess we haven't really talked about like how many fingernails will be painted, how long, but we'll get to those details. Kyle wants both hands. I like that. You're confident in yourself.
Go big or go home, right?
That's right. Absolutely. So we'll go with that as our punishment. So Matt, let's do the honors and see who's getting which teams. And once we do that, I mean, the good thing about the NBA as opposed to the Major League Baseball is NBA is winding down their season. So this could be, we also have to make sure that it's a team that's actually in Orlando and that's still eligible for the playoffs. I think that wouldn't be fair if somebody picks somebody that's not there.
Well, as you see here, Michael, I'm actually 2 steps ahead of you here because I made sure of that.
All right. Very good. I like that. In
fact, I've been updating as the day goes, and the Grizzlies are officially out, so they are off the list.
Okay. Oh, they're still – I thought they were still in. I know the Pelicans are out, but I thought the Grizzlies were still in.
The Mavericks clinched their playoff spot.
There you go.
And the Grizzlies lost.
Okay, well, I've got the Grizzlies as the 8th seed right now, but either way,
I'll add them back in.
There we go.
If you get them, then I'll say I told you so when they lose.
Absolutely. That's my team, man. So I'll go down swinging with the Grizzlies as long as even if that means I have to paint my fingernails. Okay, so I went first last week, then Matt, and then Kyle. So let's do a reverse order. Go ahead, Matt.
Oh, I was going to say that I've already got it picked.
Oh man, okay, here we go.
All right. So we're going to go with last week we did Michael first. I'm going first this week, and then Kyle, and then Michael.
Okay, there we go. All right. So for those of you that are just joining us, the NBA draft team lottery, the loser has to paint their fingernails a color that is chosen by their wife and children. And Matt is I'm not entirely sure about this integrity of this. Kyle, I don't know how you feel about this.
This has got more integrity than anything you've ever seen. Look, I mean, I don't have anything picked. There's one entry for every team.
All right.
On the list. We just come up here and you hit this little pick button.
All righty.
Whoop, hold on. I got to pick the team I want. Hold on.
We should have had somebody other than Matt run this.
I was going to say.
Here we go. All right.
The Bucks. Oh, yeah, look at there. All right, so Matt has chosen.
I can't read it.
The Miami Heat.
The Miami Heat. Okay. So Matt chooses the Heat right now. If you're looking at the NBA standings in the Eastern Conference, the Heat are the 4 seed. So definitely they're 42-24. Got a good young core group, including a couple of Kentucky Wildcats and Bam Bam Adebayo and Tyler Hero. Okay, so who's up next? Next is Kyle, right?
Kyle. All right, Kyle. Here we go. I'm thinking Grizzlies for you, my friend.
I'm pulling for one of the LA teams.
All right.
Oh shoot! What do they do? I keep on forgetting where my camera is. Hold on, fellas.
Hit the pick button.
Okay.
Who is it?
The Clippers.
The Clipper. Oh, look at that.
I got an LA team. I'll take it.
Redemption for Kyle, as Kyle gets the LA Clippers as his NBA draft lottery team. You're good. So just for those of you keeping score at home, the Clippers, second in the West, already clinched a playoff spot at 45-21, although they did lose to the Lakers on reopening night. All right, Matt. So hit me with my team, man. Who am I going with?
All right. Here we go.
Don't try this at home, folks. It's very technical here.
Oh, it picked at random. What? Hold on. I had a blank in there for some reason. Hold on.
So I get to pick. No, that means I get to pick my own team.
No. You get the Denver Nuggets.
Hey, okay. I'll take the Nuggets. Absolutely.
Not bad.
Yeah, I'll take the Nuggets. They're the 3 seed in the West. So Kyle and I will be duking it out in the West. All right. So just to recap for those of you that are either joining us or like what in the world is going on. So we did a draft lottery. Kyle got the Clippers. Matt got the Miami Heat, and I got the Denver Nuggets. So the way this will work, the rest of the season, whichever team finishes the best to finish the season, that person will win. The team that finishes the worst, that person will lose, and that person will have to have their fingernails painted by their wives and children, and we'll determine how long that has to happen. I'm guessing we at least want to have that live on our show. Coming up. Yeah, absolutely.
So, real quick. Are we talking best regular season record, or are we saying who goes deepest in the playoffs?
I would lean. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I think all 3 make the playoffs.
Yeah. I would say the deepest run.
Okay.
Yeah, whoever has the best finish at the end of the year on the ESPN website under rankings for full NBA, that's who wins.
Okay.
Fair enough. There you have it. It has been written, and it is now law. So just to recap, we've done this twice now. So Kyle's living in the California loving out there. The Fathers, the Padres, and the Clippers. Matt, you got the Heat and the Nationals, and I am the Nuggets and the Dodgers. So there you go. There you have it for our lottery teams, and we'll do this for the NFL as well. Okay, guys, we're going to move forward to a different topic. The NCAA football is a mess right now, and that's mainly because people are kind of taking it upon their own selves to do whatever they want, and I think it's pretty exciting, as we talked about on the show before. Really, the biggest news over the past couple of days, or some of the biggest news, has been on Thursday, I believe it was, the ACC came out and said, hey, we are playing a conference-only schedule, but we're going to have one non-conference game at the end of the season. The SEC then came out on Friday saying we're only doing conference games going forward. So, Matt, just kind of across the board, we'll get specifically on ACC and then SEC in a minute, but just kind of across the board, when you look at what all is going on, and even some news out of the Pac-12 that's come out here recently as well, just kind of what are your thoughts on college football, and what do you think is going to happen as we get ready for a season? I mean, less than a month and a half, 2 months away.
Well, so the SEC starts on September 25th, so we're less than 2 months away here.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be great. I just want to see some football. I don't really care who plays who. All I know is that I am very, very excited. I do think one thing that it's going to be really tough for the first-year head coaches or new offensive coordinators who are installing new schemes, because you're pretty much going to have to start from scratch, and which they're in camp now, but they're not really they didn't have spring. They didn't have anything other than just, prep for the fall. So it'll be really interesting. And, I don't know what's going to happen yet. We were talking about this before the show, but Arkansas apparently drew Georgia at Georgia and at home versus South Carolina. And both of those will be pretty tough ads. So.
Yeah, I mean, and I really mean this with no offense, Matt, but like you think of somebody like a Vandy and even an Arkansas who's struggled the past couple of years. I mean, looking at 10 conference games, whereas opposed to, in years past you've had, 2 to 3 non-conference games where you think you're going to, pick up some wins, even though you got to pay out for it. That's going to be really tough. I think, a couple of things here. First off, the ACC, they invited Notre Dame to be a part of it. I have no problem with that. It makes sense. Really kind of across the board. Notre Dame's in the ACC for basketball. Plus, both the ACC and Notre Dame were going to lose a ton of money if there's not a college football season, specifically Notre Dame, because they have essentially their own network. And so it makes sense for them. They join up with the ACC for one season. They have a chance to be an ACC champion just for one season. They do have to split. It sounds like they're going to split their TV revenue with the ACC, but I think, again, some money is better than no money. When it comes to the SEC, I think it's going to be awesome. I mean, for teams like, I'm a Kentucky fan. For teams like Kentucky, it's going to hurt them because they have what could be one of their best teams in my lifetime, even though I feel like I've said that the past 3 years. But now they're potentially adding a Alabama or an LSU or an Ole Miss as opposed to a Eastern Michigan and a Western Kentucky and an MTSU. And so it's going to be tough, but I think it's going to be fantastic. I'm looking forward to it. And I'm kind of like you were, Matt. All I want is some college football. I don't care if there's people in the stands. I don't care if they play 10 games and it's only conference schedule and then they figure out the end. Just give us some freaking college football. And I can't wait for SEC Saturdays on CBS and you hear that dun, 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 dun. It gets my heart pumping, man. I enjoy it. Kyle, NCAA football teams look like they're going to conference-only schedules. What are your thoughts?
So I think we're getting ahead of ourselves. Look at what baseball's going through right now. Baseball is not near as close-quartered as football. These football teams are not going to be in a bubble. We're not going to have the NBA or the NHL bubble. There's going to be travel. We're going to see these COVID numbers spike in college or pro football. And my opinion is I don't think we get a full season in of either one. Now, let's say we do. Talk about the Notre Dame joining the ACC. It's a win-win, right? Notre Dame gets a football season. ACC gets Notre Dame. Big deal. I think the big question coming out of that is, does this move Notre Dame closer to joining a conference? I know they have their TV deal, but maybe they see something they like there. I don't know. SEC going to 10 games and all being SEC games, I love the idea. There's nothing better than SEC football. I'm curious to see who gets added to what schedule and all that, and seeing how that works itself out. And you said it right, Mike. For teams like I'm a Mississippi State fan, Matt's Arkansas team, those of us that are kind of middle of the pack to the bottom of the pack, that's going to be a lot harder to get to if there are bowl games. A lot harder to get to 6 wins.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that goes.
Well, but yeah, I mean, again, I think all of us can all just settle on the fact that we just want some football, and we'll take it however we can get it, without a doubt. It's going to be interesting for sure. Guys, we got to go to a break here in just a few minutes. When we come back from the break, we've kind of alluded to it already, but we're going to talk a little about Major League Baseball. It's been a little bit of a mess. Also, one thing we talked about, Kyle, you mentioned NCAA football, you mentioned the NFL. One thing we haven't talked about is from the high school rank. And what is that sound? Somebody was drinking something. And
Matt is slurping up a slushie or something.
Sorry, boys, I thought I was on mute.
No, Matt. So what you got to tell us, man? What are you drinking?
This is that high quality H2O.
There we go. Okay, there we go.
And it's on the rocks.
On the rocks. There we go. Well, it wouldn't be a Dad's Watching Sports show without some sort of strange noise coming out of the Kirk household. So we appreciate it every single week where you give us something. And that picture is still there. It's still there. I love it. So for those of you that are catching this for the first time watching the show, over the course of what is now 26 episodes, we've noticed the picture kind of right above Matt there. It's of him and his beautiful bride. And for whatever reason, man, they just can't turn that thing 90 degrees and get it right side up. But
what they probably need to do is shine it up real nice and then not turn.
Yeah,
this son of a gun sideways.
That's right. Yes. We definitely. Yeah, there definitely doesn't need to be any of that going on. I think you had enough action there, Kyle, this past week.
It's just one move away from being up your candy rears.
There we go.
It's like that.
That it is indeed. That it is indeed. So guys, we're going to go to a break here in just a minute, and when we do, we'll be back. One thing we haven't talked about is high school football. We're going to do that. Matt's getting him some more water. Oh, he's taking it. Oh man, he's just leaving in the middle of a show. This is fantastic. We have lost one of our guys. Kyle, I don't even know what to say about this. He just walked off in the middle of the podcast.
Who needs Matt Kirk? You got Michael Draper. You got Kyle Castles. Michael Draper going way throwback with the Sports Lounge shirt.
Oh yeah,
we're good to go.
Oh yeah, we are, and we've lost Matt, and that's okay. So Kyle, you doing well, huh?
I'm making it. I'm a lot better now that Matt's not here.
There we go. Yeah, we'll talk bad about him when he comes back after the break. Hopefully,
We'll act like everything's cool.
Right. We'll just act like nothing happened at all, and we'll say, "Hey, Matt, thanks for ditching us early on." So, all right, we're going to go to a quick break as promised, and we will be right back on Dad's Watching Sports. Oh, there he is. Are you a dad? Good. Do you like to watch sports? Even better. Sounds like you need to check out our podcast, Dad's Watching Sports. Each week we talk about national sports topics. Yay, sports are back. And our lives as dads of kids 5 years and under, and the highs and lows that come with fatherhood. You can check us out on the RTF Sports Network on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 11 a.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Central. And, of course, you can download the show wherever you listen to podcasts. Just search Dad's Watching Sports. And while you're there, share with a bro dad. That's Dad's Watching Sports. Welcome back to Dad's Watching Sports, episode 26, August the 2nd, 2020. Michael Draper, Kyle Castles, Matt Kirk. We are broadcasting live on the RTF Sports Network as well as the Dad's Watching Sports Facebook pages. And we've got Matt Kirk back. We've kind of brought this up a couple of times. And, you know, it's been a rough couple of weeks. Things were awesome when it came back and people were very excited. And then we had some COVID-19 positive tests that have popped up in a couple of different dugouts, and that is leading to a lot of conversations about will they continue the season. So, Kyle, is the bubble bursting for Major League Baseball?
Yeah, so, you know, Rob Manfred came out, or it was reported he said things about, you know, telling TV networks like, hey, get ready because this week we may not have games and y'all need to have something, you know, for backup, and he's come back out since and said, no, we're playing. And so what is true, what's not true? I don't have a clue, right? But I think this is what we're going to see when it comes to non-bubble sports. If you can get everybody in a bubble and everybody leaves the bubble and everybody's tested negative and everybody's going to continue to test negative, I think we can get sports in without being in a bubble. And I've actually changed my tune on this. Matt, I know you've been a bubble fan for a long time from the beginning, but I always thought, no, they can travel. They're going to be fine. You know, charter the flights and be done with it. But what I'm seeing is when you let them out and they can go home and they're not supervised, you end up with, you know, COVID-19 positives. And from what I understand, and you know, listeners would be happy to hear if you got some more information for me. But what I'm understanding is a lot of these positive COVID-19 tests are coming back, and the guys are asymptomatic.
Yep.
So you know, it's one of those they don't know who has it, they don't know who doesn't have it. I think the only way to get sports in without any big disturbance is bubbling. And so I think the MLB is really just showing the NFL and college football, like, this is what you're going to look at is canceled games and postponed games. The difference in baseball and football is you can't play a doubleheader in football like you can in baseball.
Right. Well, then let me ask you this. I mean, does the NFL and college football, do they pivot very quickly? I mean, they've only got a month and a half at the most. Do they pivot quickly enough? Are they able to do something like that?
The NFL has all the money in the world, right? I think the NFL, if they wanted to pivot and say we're going to get a bubble, find a place that's got the available fields. You need more than one field. So if you can find a spot that's got the available fields that you can, you know, say this is our bubble, then sure, the NFL can do it. College football, there's no way.
In football, you can play on any basically football field, any high school, college, or NFL. It's all the same. So they can do that, but it would be very hard for baseball because with baseball, those fence heights have to be different. They have to be different lengths. And to me, football, it makes no sense why they're not trying to bubble or why they're not going to do a bubble. There's just a lot more players than there are in baseball on these NFL teams. In my opinion, the NBA and the NHL have set the standard on what they should be doing.
Yeah, and I think that you're absolutely right, Matt. You're looking at trying to play on, high school, college, pro, whatever's available, whatever fields are available. But and when you do that, you're talking about, the NBA has it. They're all on the Disney resort or whatever they're at, right?
Yep.
There's all of a sudden there's travel and there's guys getting out. You don't have a true bubble even doing it where you say, like, we're going to play on these fields in this city, there's still travel that can bring into some problems.
Well, and you hear about these players that play for the Marlins, like, what in the world were they thinking? Going to bars and just partying like it's 1999, and they're potentially going to give this to other players. Like, those people in that organization are just stupid.
Well, that's why the Marlins are at the bottom of the barrel in Major League Baseball.
And that's also why they should not be allowed to play right now, because they're being reckless and careless.
Absolutely.
Well, I mean, so let's put you guys on the spot. I'll give my opinion first, but the question is do we think, they went from 162 to 60 games. Do we even get that in? I think that they won't get a full 60. I think we will have a World Series champion. I think they'll finish the season, they'll get into playoffs, and they'll figure out a way to get it in. But I don't know that each team at the end of the day, when the regular season ends, each team's not going to have a win-loss record that totals 60, I think, without a doubt. But I do think we'll have playoffs and a World Series champion. Matt, what do you think?
I think that they're going to have to really do something quick. I think they're going to have to do it really quick. And I think, honestly, that if they go to playoff baseball right now, they could go to a bubble and have them go for 2 weeks, have everybody in the same place, and have them go to a dome where there isn't any weather that affects it, and just let them play there. Let them play Houston, Texas, in Minnesota. I don't care where they play at. I want them to play in a dome, or I want them to play in a dome, and you have them to be in a bubble. They travel by bus, and that's just that. And you have a World Series champion.
Kyle?
Yeah, I mean, I think Matt's right. I think, they talked about expanding the playoffs to 16 teams or something this year. I think, go straight to your playoffs, and I don't know how you pick your teams. Maybe it's just by the current standings right now. I don't really care, right? Maybe 4 from the NL, 4 from the AL. Everybody play, like you say, like 2 games a day to start out. Playing them in a dome, Houston works. I mean, that's a gorgeous field, even though there are a bunch of cheaters down there in Houston. Yeah. Let them play and call it a World Series and say, hope to God we can get a 2021 season in.
Yeah. All right, guys, we're going to shift gears. Something we have not talked about yet on this show, and I know we're all pretty well versed in this, is high school football. We are coming up on a lot of schools potentially going back, and whatever that looks like. And fall sports are going to be the next thing that's kind of up for debate, is whether it's happening. Just to kind of give you guys an update of, or not really an update, but just as an example. So Kyle and I both live here in Nashville, the Nashville, Tennessee area. Matt used to live here as well. And here we've got a weird kind of dichotomy that's come about where Davidson County, which is Nashville proper, where the city of Nashville is, their health department just came out this week saying that they did not advise for high school football to take place. A lot of schools signed off on that, and it doesn't look like Davidson County will be playing football this fall. The problem in there lies with, well, there's several, but the biggest problem is, Colin, you know this better than anybody, as somebody who's coached high school football in this state. There's a lot of counties around Davidson County that are playing high school football, and there's a lot of those that have division rivals and division opponents in Davidson County. I guess my first question to you guys, and this is something that's happening all over the country. It's not just Nashville; it's happening all over the country. First question being, should they play? And then secondly, Kyle and Matt specifically about this example, and that because again I know this is happening across the country. If there's a kid in Davidson County or in whatever county in Virginia or whatever county in North Dakota or wherever have you, in Texas, and their county is not allowed to play football, should they have the open availability to transfer to any school within their wherever they can go, so that they have that opportunity? So Matt, I'm going to toss it to you first. First off, should these kids be playing at all? And then secondly, if anybody is, should they have that option?
I think that high school kids should not be able to play. They are students, and they should, they're going to, most of them are getting a free education unless they're at a private school. And it's not fair for them to have to be put into a bubble and to be taken out of the classroom environment. You miss out on, potentially your senior year, and having all those things. But, I would hate for a kid to not get to play his sport. But in my opinion, what I think they should do is I think they should push the fall football to spring if they really want the kids to play, to have the opportunity to be able to go to a college. But then you run into that that running over National Signing Day. They're going to push that back, and then it runs into all the other spring sports, which hopefully we have a vaccine by then. Everything is pointing that direction. We should have one, hopefully by spring. But as for transferring, I don't think that they should be able to. I just, because that could be forming a lot of super teams, and, it spells bad news to me.
Kyle, I know you got a lot to say on this topic because it's the world you live in. I'll chime in just really quickly. I'll be honest. I'm on the fence on whether they should play. I think that, Matt, you hit on the fact that these are kids. These aren't grown men. They aren't getting paid to do this. These are children. They are. They're legally children. I don't know that we should force them to play. I think that in certain areas, if that area deems it that it's okay and kids want to play and the parents feel okay about it, I think they should have the opportunity to. When it comes to should players openly be able to transfer, I actually disagree with you, Matt. I think this is an unprecedented, and we talked about this, I think, back in March or April about college sports when the NCAA tournament got canceled. This is unprecedented times, and you are looking at potentially, in areas that are highly populated, highly urban areas where there are kids that a senior football season could potentially change their life because they could go from a unrecruited kid to a recruited kid to getting a college scholarship to going to college maybe for the first time of anybody in their family to changing the whole trajectory of their life. And not having that opportunity based off they could live 2 miles down the road from where somebody is playing football, but they don't get to. I know it could create a mess, but I think this is one of those times in which you just say, we're just going to have a mess because we need to ask ourselves, what is the right thing to do for the kids? And the right thing to do for the kids, if they play, is to let them go wherever they want and to play within reason. So, Kyle, I'll toss it to you.
So, should they play? That's I don't know. I really don't. I teach at a high school. I'm repping, Fairview High School Yellow Jackets tonight. Honestly, I don't know. I've sat here and I've typed something out, but I didn't like what I typed out. I keep going back and forth. So me and our AD at the school were talking last Monday. And, Mike, I'm sure you saw it. The governor of Tennessee, he came out and said that, the high schools can play football. A few things, Matt, you talked about moving the season to the spring. That might work in a big high school where you have a football team and a basketball team and a baseball team and very few, if any, players are between there. But at Fairview, a lot of the basketball team plays football, a lot of the baseball team plays football, and a lot of the football team plays basketball and baseball, and they wrestle and they do all these other things. You could not have all the sports going on at once. Most of the kids, they have to decide between basketball or wrestling. They have to decide between baseball and track because they know they can only get one in that time frame. So it's difficult. The other thing is in high school athletics, football is king, especially where we are. I'm sure, someplace like Indiana, it'd probably be basketball. But in Tennessee and a lot of places, football is king, and football is where you will have you got to have the football money at the beginning of the year to pay for the other athletics afterwards. Yep. So if there is no football, I don't know how likely there is to be any other high school sports. As far as should a kid transfer, I am of the opinion that if a kid transfers, they should be allowed to play, because rarely is it the kid's decision to move.
Sure.
So I don't like the rule as it stands where a kid, can or can't play based on what school they transferred from and to. I get that most of the high school athletic associations across the country are trying to avoid all the recruiting. But to me, I would rather have the recruiting going on and maybe some super teams or whatever, because you already have that with the private schools.
Yeah.
So I was talking to the AD of Fairview just Monday. There is a private school that came and talked to of what we're going to be incoming freshmen for Fairview that at least one and maybe both were going to contribute greatly on the varsity team. I mean, we're small enough. We got freshmen playing varsity. On the varsity, they contribute on the varsity team that are now going to a private school instead. So like we have it anyways.
Right.
Why not give the public schools an opportunity to compete against those privates? That's, and I was a public school coach, so I might be a little biased there.
Yeah. Well, we'd love to hear from those that are watching or listening as well. What's your take? What's happening in your area? We've talked a lot about the state of Tennessee and what's happening here, just because we live here. But we'd love to know what's happening in your area. And what do you think? Should players be playing this fall, and should they be able to kind of openly transfer to go on? Matt, anything to add to that before we move on?
No, I had nothing to add.
There you go. He's a man of few words. All right, guys, we're going to get into some quick hitters as we kind of finish up the show here. So we talked about the NBA earlier on. We've got our NBA teams that we're choosing in our lottery to see who doesn't or has to paint their fingernails. And if you don't know what we're talking about, listen to the first of the show. Guys, NBA MVP, I know the regular season is almost over, so a lot of this has already been predetermined. But Matt, if you had to name an NBA MVP right this second, right now, with all eyes and ears watching and listening to you, who you got?
Oh boy,
no pressure.
I'm going to go with Giannis Antetokounmpo, or however you say his last name.
Anything to back that up other than just he's best player in the world?
I got two words for you: Greek freak.
There you go. Kyle, what about yourself?
I mean, LeBron, right? LeBron came into this season. I know you hate him, Matt, but LeBron came into the season energized. He's played well. I think there's another MVP caliber player right there beside him, and your boy Mike AD. But it's hard to go against who the true greatest player in the world right now.
So, Kyle, you set me up perfectly, and I appreciate you doing that, man. I feel like that's what good teammates do here. And yeah, I mean, if you're going to have an MVP on the Lakers, it's Anthony Davis because he leads the team in points per game, 26 over 26 a game. He leads the team in rebounds a game. He leads the team in steals and in blocks. He has a player efficiency rating of 28.5, where LeBron's is like 25.5. And if you look at
25.5 isn't good enough.
Well, 28.5 is a little bit better. And if you look at the Lakers' record last year, they did make the playoffs. They were 37-45 or something like that, and now they're 50-15 after they add the unibrow. So my pick is AD. I think he's the best player on their team. He's the MVP of the league because he's the best player on the best team, and he'll prove it throughout. And he had a monster game against the Clippers the other night and coming back. So I'm going AD. All right, guys. So Joe Kelly, you guys know. Got himself in a little bit of trouble against the Astros the other night. Threw a couple at some heads, and I think we all kind of saw that coming. But got an 8-game suspension for his actions. Kyle, does the penalty fit the crime?
No, but we knew that it wasn't going to fit the crime. When in Major League Baseball, when we thought it was coming back in April, they came out and said that if you're going to throw at Astros batters, we're not going to take any. There's not going to be any slack. We're going to put the hammer down. And so, I mean, they did what they said they were going to do. Here's the thing: Major League Baseball cannot allow these guys like Joe Kelly threw one behind. Was it Bergman maybe? At 96 miles an hour. You move that thing over about 3 inches, he's got a 96 mile an hour in his neck. Major League Baseball can't allow these Astros batters, as much as I and others would like to see it happen, especially my wife, who's a Dodger fan.
Well,
targets, right?
And I would imagine the MLB wouldn't mind them taking a few, off the chin if they knew that it wouldn't escalate even further, just knowing what they did.
No, the shoe doesn't fit. But I will say this, that I am all for throwing at somebody, but don't throw at their head. Don't be an idiot. We're not trying to ruin someone's life. If you're going to hit them in the quad, hit them in the, hit him in the upper part of your arm, up your shoulder. Hit him where it's not going to kill him, for Christ's sake.
Well, look, what's really interesting is Joe Kelly wasn't even on that Dodgers team that lost to the Astros.
Yeah,
he was with the Red Sox at the time. But
he was just being a goober.
If the Dodgers had to lose a pitcher out of their staff, that's the one to get rid of anyways.
That's true. And I tell you, though, he really looks a lot like that guy from Louisville.
He does.
Series last year.
Yes, you stole that from me. Yeah, the guy that was given the bleep you during the stare down. Yep, going into the commercial break.
To Vanderbilt, I believe it was, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was to Vandy, who ended up winning the title. All right, guys, we got one more topic to get to before we head out of here. We talked that this show was going to be heavy on sports, and it has been. But we have to get at least one kind of dad non-sports topic in. So the three of us were texting over the past week, and I said, hey, what do you guys feel? How do you guys feel about our next bracket being a cereal bracket? That went on for a good 15, 20 minutes where we were just texting off different names of cereals. So right now, what we're going to do, this isn't set in stone, but we just thought we'd get a couple of names out there. Kyle, if we started a cereal bracket tomorrow, and this would be 64, or I'm sorry, we'll go 32. 64 is a lot. We'll go 32 of the best cereals in the world. Who are your number one seeds?
So I'm actually going to give you, I even ranked the 1 seeds. So,
nice.
Yeah. So
the planning committee did their homework. I like it.
Absolutely. So the overall number 1 in the brackets would be Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
Okay.
Number 2 in the bracket would be Peanut Butter Captain Crunch. Nice. Number 3 is Lucky Charms. And number 4 is one that most people would think I'm crazy, Corn Flakes. I love me some Corn Flakes.
So I'll go 4-1. My number 4 overall seed, what I would say leading the cocoa region, is the Cocoa Krispies. And here we are, 30-year-old men talking about chocolate cereal. It's amazing. My number 3 overall seed, and what I call actually an adult bracket, is Cinnamon Life. My number 2 seed, overall seed, Kyle, you alluded to them in your bracket as your number 1 overall. I've got Cinnamon Toast Crunch as my number 2, and then number 1. They're great for a reason, and my number 1 overall seed, the Frosted Flakes with Tony the Tiger, will be my number 1 seed. Matt, as you wrap us up here, who you got as your top 4 seeds?
All right. Well, I'm going on the cocoa variety too, but nice. The real number 1 is Cocoa Puffs. I'm cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, Michael.
No, man, get out of here with that garbage.
I'm cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs.
They're the 8 seed in my cocoa region.
Well, your 8 seed sucks.
That's why
exactly. That's right.
So, and then I'm going to go. I did a healthy one.
Okay, nice.
So I'm going to go honey bunches of oats.
Okay, nice. I like it.
And then I did 2 sweet ones, but one of them sweet with marshmallows. I don't know how many cereals have marshmallows, but I love me some Lucky Charms, so I put that on there.
They're magically delicious.
And then my top seed for my number 1 overall is some Fruity Pebbles.
Nice. Fruity Pebbles is a good one. There's no doubt about that. So what we'll do with the cereal bracket is we will over the next couple of weeks. We haven't even decided when we're going to do this, but we'll compile a bracket of 32 different cereals. We want some input from the fans out there. So if you watch the show over the next couple of weeks via Facebook, if you listen to us and you want to shoot us a message via Instagram or email or whatever have you, give us some input, and we'll craft a 32 team bracket cereals challenge. So, well, guys, we got to get out of here. It's been fun broadcasting on live on RTF Sports Network and Dad's Watching Sports Facebook pages. We got to get out of here though, and we will see you next week on Dad's Watching Sports. Y'all take care.